Josh here from InsideWrestlingTruth, and today we got Madman Pondo. Pondo, how you been, man?
I'm good. How about you?
So you had a show last night, right?
JCW.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. I wrestled Rude Boy. We was there to bleed. That was the name of the match. JCW Hall of Famers, the Bloody Best, and it was a pretty good match. And Too Tough Tony was there. Shane Mercer was there. Zach Gowen, Colt Cabana, a few others.
Do you have a favorite company that you're working for right now, currently?
No. I mean, you know, start naming off favorite companies, and the other companies like, why in the hell did you say my company? But, you know, all the companies I'm working for right now is all my favorites. So.
Within the last year since I interviewed you last, what's been some of your favorite matches you've been part of?
Let me see. I wrestled Nikolai Volkov. Did I do that since I?
Yeah.
Oh, did I? See now, man. No, I talked to you about wrestling Nikolai Volkov.
No, you haven't talked.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was really happy to get to wrestle Nikolai Volkov. I tagged with Tommy Dreamer. You know, a couple of things like that. Nothing too special, really.
Yeah. Let's talk about D1W. They changed their name, right?
Yeah. Premier Destination Wrestling.
How did you get your start in D1W from the beginning?
I was always starting out. Guys starting out, I always helped them out, and I helped out Rick Brady a lot in the beginning, and took him in places with me and stuff like that, and he always remembered that. And Rick and Clyde Richardson was running a company called Wolfpack, and I guess things were just going crazy. Like 10 guys showed up, and Clyde put them all on the card. So Rick Brady got a hold of me and asked me if I could come to D1 at the time and help regulate the locker room with things, and that's what I did, and I've been there ever since. Sorry.
Do you have a favorite match or moment while you've been at D1?
Man, that's terrible. I'm sure I do. All my matches run together so much, but I thought that me and Crazy Mary, we took on Aaron Williams and Ron Mathis in a tag match. That was a pretty fun match. I like that one.
Who are some guys, you know, coming up in the business that you think might be like hardcore greats? Could be, potentially.
Well, right now the most crazy psycho guy is Matt Tremont out of CZW. At one time I was listed as that, then Necro was listed at that, but I would say that Matt Tremont right now is pretty hardcore. And then I have been so out of touch with wrestling here lately that I really don't know any of the newer guys. John Wayne Murdoch, I saw a clip of him doing that Canadian Destroyer off a house. Fuck that. You know, that's fucking crazy. For either of them, for John Wayne Murdoch or the guy he did it to, that was insane. Spider Boudreaux out of IWA Deep South. I mean, he's just a fucking madman. Will do whatever. And then there's a guy named Mosh Pit Mike out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think that's about the three that I can think of right off the bat.
You want to talk about Father Fear and the stop sign?
Yeah, he kept asking me to, you know, I don't know how many frequent times, but he's like, one of these times you got to hit me with the stop sign. And I said, all right, well, you know, we'll figure it out. And I think it was with Apollo, right? Who was we wrestling with when I?
Jimmy and Matt Douglas.
Jimmy and Matt Douglas, yeah, that's right. I was on Matt Douglas's side, and Jimmy was always by Father Fear's And I threw Father Fear in, and he did exactly what he was supposed to, but something about the sign scraped his head, and he had a Gorbachev for about 2 months up there. One of my prouder moments in the wrestling business.
Okay, let's talk about EPW. I don't know if they're still open or not.
I really don't know either, but I would say no. I think there was just too much wrestling in Jammers, and EPW was the one that got shuffled out of there. But I had fun matches there. You know, I wrestled. Me and Sarah wrestled Reed and Heidi. Oh no, that was, I was about to say me and Tony took on Jack Thriller and the other guy, but that was for Chris's thing. Well, that was kind of a joint thing, right? IWA Mid-South.
I believe so.
Hatlerson.
Yeah.
That was a good match. I had good times there, but you know, it was just, there was a point in time where if things are going in a direction that you don't feel, you know, you want to be a part of, you just distance yourself, and that's pretty well what I do.
How did you get your start there at EPW?
Me and Cage Cutler was always pretty close, and I think Christian Skyfire at the time had faith that I could draw, which it never did. So I guess I was just a loser. But they started out with 30 some odd people, and then they got mixed in with IWA Mid-South, which helped them draw, but also helped them close. So I don't know which one was the better out of the two.
Right. What person in the wrestling business have you learned the most from?
Man, this is gonna sound really strange, but the person I learned the most from was probably Crazy Mary Dobson, because everything that I did wrong for 25 years, I have coaxed her into doing right. If I see her going a way that I used to go, I tell her maybe you should go this way. And I've learned a lot that if I knew then what I know now, maybe I, you know, would have went a little farther in the business. But the thing about me and wrestling, my only dream was Japan, and I've been there 43 times there and back. So I've exceeded what I wanted to do, and everything else is perks. So, but I would say, yeah, over the last 3 years, I think I learned more about myself and my wrestling out of Crazy Mary Dobson, teaching her to do the opposite of what I did.
How did the stop sign become part of your character?
For the longest time, I was using a trash can lid, and it got over pretty good. Every time I hit somebody with it, you know, they would pop and everything. And then I was in Central City, Kentucky, working for Shelby Adcock, and two little kids, two very small little kids, I'm talking maybe 7 and 8, brought a trash can lid, and they asked if I could come out to visit them, and I did. And they thought they was putting me over by showing me. They said, look what we learned, look what we can do," and they started hitting each other in the head with the stop sign. And I'm thinking, damn it, you know, if two small children can do that, then, you know, why are they going to believe that I can knock out huge guys with this trash can lid? So then I had to sit back and think, what could I use that is at the same, you know, same stroke when I swing it, and a little bit heavier, and that's where the stop sign came in.
What was your memories of CM Punk and Dean Ambrose before they were stars?
Me and Colt Cabana and CM Punk and Nate Webb, we used to go down to this company. I can't even remember what the name of the company was. Drake was there. Drake Younger was a wrestler there, and it was in Indianapolis. Dave Prazak was there, and we would actually make fun of the other wrestlers that was there. We would film them from the dressing room, but we would do our own commentary, kind what $5 wrestling was. And I don't know, we just all got real close. And, you know, I would consider CM Punk and me a friend. Not too long ago, Jake the Snake got into a fight with a promoter in Florida, and Colt Cabana took a picture of it, and I happened to be sitting behind Jake the Snake, and he sent the picture to CM Punk, and CM Punk in capital letters wrote back, "Is that Pondo behind there?" So it wasn't even about the Jake fight, and CM Punk called me and we talked a little bit. And Dean Ambrose was one of the funniest guys. I just did WWE extra work, and it's kind of a unspoken law that you're not supposed to talk to the bigger talent if you're an extra. So we're all the extras are sitting there, and we're waiting for Adam Rose and this bunny to get their shit together to do this promo. And next thing I know, somebody puts me in a headlock and starts giving me working punches. And they let me go, and I look, and all the extras are just flabbergasted. I turn around, and it's Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, whatever you want to call. And we had a good 5-6 minute conversation, and then next thing I know, Sarah's poking me in the back, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is my girlfriend Sarah," you know. And you know, he remembered me, so
that's cool. All right, let's talk about the scissors. How did that come about? And you know, like, what was your thoughts afterwards?
Me and Ian, we wanted jobs at CZW. You know, we already had the Kentucky area under wraps. We wanted to go to Philly and do our shit there. So we sat in the locker room. We thought, what could we do that was going to impress this crowd? Now, do you remember the hat guys in the ECW crowd?
Yeah.
They was at this particular CZW show. So Ian said, if you can impress those guys, you got a job at this company. I can guarantee it. So that's when I was like, all right, well, we can't use knives and we can't use guns, and I've seen everything else. And then I thought, well, what about scissors? So we asked around, and can't even remember this guy's name, but he had big white hair wig and stuff like that. He let us borrow a pair of scissors. Now, what we didn't know was he took them straight out of the package, so they was sharp as fuck. So, you know, we get into the match. We get right over by the hat guys, and I swipe it all the way across to Ian's head, and it just sliced him open like a pig, man. Then we got out of the ring. I put my arm up, and he cuts my arm, and sure enough, the hat guys loved us, you know, got nuts, and we went to the hospital. I got 11 stitches in my arm, and Ian got 25 stitches across his head. I got a job, he didn't, so I win.
True. All right, I actually watched this on YouTube last night. Let's talk Pondo, Too Tough Tony, and Cash Flow invade OVW.
I was as shocked as you. Tony called me on the phone and said, "Hey, we're going to do this invasion angle at OVW." And I said, "They're not going to let us do anything at OVW." And he said, "I'm promising you." So, and this was what Danny Davis said. He said, you know, there's no Jim Cornette. We're having trouble drawing and wondering if you guys wanted to come in. And sure enough, it worked. You know, we packed the OVW arena 3 shows in a row, and half the crowd would chant OVW, but the other half would chant JCW. So Danny Davis knew it was working. But me and Trash, we had problems back in the day. So as soon as he came back, that was pretty much the end of that angle. So, I don't know why Danny would cancel it out if it was drawing, but he sure did. So Frank Miller is pretty strong at that old VW.
Yeah. Okay, what's your top 5 horror movies of all time?
One is Mother's Day, It's a trauma film by Charles Kaufman, not Lloyd Kaufman. Man, this is, so many people ask me this. Mother's Day always hits real hard. I like the Fun House with Toby Hooper. I'm trying to think here. It's not so much a horror movie, but it's got a bunch of horrible things in it. A movie called Street Trash. Two more, huh? I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and realize that was filmed back in the 70s, how brilliant that movie really is. And then there's got to be another one. I just bought a bunch of Blu-rays. Shit, man.
If you can't think of one, it's cool.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, there's just so many, I really like Dead Alive. That's another one by Peter Jackson. And I went and met the main actor, and nobody was in his line, and I was amazed.
What's some of your favorite battles with Necro Butcher?
With me and Necro?
Mm-hmm.
I would say my best Necro battle is not even with me, but I was in the ECW arena when Necro took on Samoa Joe. And give you a little backstory. Me and Necro was in Japan, and someone said, "Hey, you got to listen to the interview that Samoa Joe cut on you." So Necro went up. BJW had a whole separate building. It was 2 semi-trailers stacked on each other, and you had to take steps up to the second semi-trailer, and there was a computer in there. So Necro goes in there, and the interview's all about how Necro never spent time in a dojo, he's nothing but a bleeder and all this stuff. Now, I've heard that shit 100 times, so has he, but I don't know, this hit him hard. So he every time we couldn't find Necro, I'd go up in there and he'd be listening to that same interview. This is 2 weeks straight. So it was scheduled for Necro versus Samoa Joe. Necro flew home from Japan, got in a car, and drove to that ECW arena. When he got there, he said, because have you ever been to the ECW arena?
No.
Alright, there's something called the Catacombs down below. If you've seen some of the underground CZW matches, that's what I'm talking about, that bottom section. Necro told me, he said, "Pondo, I'm going downstairs. Don't come and get me. Don't bother me. Don't tell nobody where I'm at. But come get me right before my match." No problem. So sure enough, Samoa Joe's running around like, "Where's Necro? Where's Necro?" Right? So that match, did you see that match?
Mm-mm.
You got to watch that match.
Right.
And realize that match was not planned out.
Okay.
Those two just went in there and beat the dog shit out of each other.
Tell us about you were the American booker for, what was it?
Big Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had problems with CZW, and they asked me if I could be the Gaijin boss, and I said, sure, no problem. I brought Tony with me. I brought Necro with me. I brought Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein with me. Brain Damage and Sam Hain. Whole bunch of guys. JC Bailey, I brought him with me. And, they was impressed with the deathmatch guys I was bringing, and that all worked out. Finally, one day they told me, well, we're going to go in a different direction, but we might bring you back. Well, that direction was Chikara guys was flying themselves in for $40 a match, and you can't survive on $40 a match in Japan. I mean, it's just too expensive there. So they had a dream that they want to wrestle in Japan, so they started flying themselves over, and then just screwed it up for everybody. I like Mike Quackenbush, but Chikara fucked up Japan, because now anybody who wants to go to Japan, they're always like, well, is there any way you'll buy your own plane ticket?
Thoughts on being in the JCW Hall of Fame?
I was so impressed, so happy that they would consider me. But if just like Shaggy said, said, how could we not put you in there? You're the longest running wrestler that we've had at JCW. And Joe came, well, I don't want you to do nothing this weekend, but just accept that award. And, you know, they still paid me like I wrestled and everything, which was really cool. And I got the plaque at home on my wall. And yeah, I was number 3. First was Evil Dead, and then Chucky Hogan, and then me. And then now Tony and Rude Boy's also in there too.
That's cool. Thoughts on Robert England?
Such a nice guy. I was wrestling for JCW, and I always wore horror movie T-shirts. And the guys, Roy Canarum and Pat Tanatello from Soda FX, realized that I always wore horror movie T-shirts, and they loved my matches. So we went out to eat for pizza, and they said, hey, we're going to be a part of a horror movie. Would you want to be in it? My fucking dream. I was like, yes, please let me in there. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months went by, and I thought, okay, well, that was bullshit. 6 months went by, and they said, okay, we need you in, I can't remember the name of it. It was near Atlanta, Georgia, but it was off Atlanta, Georgia. It wasn't Atlanta, Georgia. It was a Civil War. You know, they took these buildings that was Renaissance Civil War buildings and put them in this place. Everything was, you know, the wood and everything. So they said, we need you there. And I said, all right, cool. I get to the hotel, and I'm signing in for my room, and of course I'm signing like this, and this guy starts checking in, and they said, do you have a check-in, sir? He says, yes, I do. And I says, what's your name? He said, Robert England. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm standing right next to Robert England, so already, you know, they didn't tell me who was going to be in this movie. So I didn't bother him because, you know, I didn't want to be the psycho, hey, how you doing, and all that shit. I didn't even say no words to him. Then when we got out to the set, there was a whole bunch of extras, and they just had him surrounded. And I was like, damn it, you know, I really wanted to talk to him. You know, I was jonesing at the bit to talk to him. Well, the cool thing was Travis Tritt was also there, and he had his look. You know how his hair was always really long. He had it cut. He had overalls on. He had makeup on, and all this. Well, I put 2 and 2 together. Shit, I'm in Atlanta, and Travis Tritt's over there. So I went over there, and I started telling all the extras. I said, hey, that's Travis Tritt over there. And they're like, no, there's no way. And I said, I'm telling you the truth. So a whole bunch of them who'd already talked to Robert England went over there and started talking to Travis Tritt. Bingo. Me and Robert England. There was maybe me and 4 other people. So at the cafeteria every day, because they fed us, the first day I sat back and I watched, you know, the seating. And what it was this person would get their tray and sit down. This person would sit on the other side. So I made sure if Robert England got in line that I would let one person get in front of me, and then I would get behind them. That way I was sitting next to Robert England, you know. And after a while, he started saying my names, like, Pondo, you sitting over here? And I was like, are you shitting me? So then when the DVD come out, which I waited 3 years for this DVD to come out, and I go down to the video store, and there's my picture on the DVD cover. So not only having my my face on the DVD cover, not only being in the movie with Robert England, I go to a horror convention, and I'm waiting in line, and Robert England, as he's signing autographs, looks 5 people down and sees me, stands up, stops the line, and tells the whole crowd, ladies and gentlemen, I just want y'all to know the blacksmith from 2001 Maniacs in the line. Called me Poncho, though. But I don't care. He can call me asshole for all I care. But, you know, that was a pretty big moment for me.
That's cool. What do you think is the most important thing to teach the young guys and girls in the wrestling business?
That replica belts are just belts. Alright? There's so many belt marks in the business today. It's fucking pathetic. Alright? Guys who can't get over at companies will start running their own companies, and next thing you know, they're wearing their own belts. Or so many times here lately I've heard, am I going over? When do I get a title shot? And I'm like, are you, you know, they're losing what they need, you know. Champions, to me, Ric Flair, you know. Not that I was a big fan, but Hulk Hogan, right? They put time in, a lot of time in to be where they are. And nowadays, if, you know, there's a friend of a friend who wants to give you a belt, you know, just realize that, to me, a belt is for the guys who don't get cheered. Okay? The guys who get cheered don't need them. Alright? So, when you walk through that curtain, if they're cheering for you, you don't need a belt. If you walk through that curtain and only half the crowd or a few people are cheering for you, put the belt on that guy. You know, build your own stars. After you build that guy up for a star, put the belt on somebody else, but now they're still going to cheer that guy because he was champion. And a lot of guys lose faith in that. At IWA East Coast, I never had my own belt. Never once. I had, 5 deathmatch tournaments. Never won my own deathmatch tournament. Shit. The last 2, I was out in the first thing, you know. There's a way to make a star and there's a way not to make a star. And some guys just haven't learned how to do that. You agree that they're a 60-year-old veteran? That's right.
You want to talk about your time in Mexico?
Yeah, man. Had a great time. Walked up with the guy the first time and he tried to give me a right arm and I was like, I'm from America, and moved it to the left arm. You know, people on my way over there said, be careful because the crowds are crazy. You don't know what they're going to do. Well, that gas, the fuel, jumped in the ring. I was like, fuck Mexico, you know, and they was throwing shit. But I've been to JCW and they plummet you with shit. Yeah. These were amateurs in Mexico, you know. So, the third time I went over, it was a 6-man, and Super Crazy was in there. And Super Crazy's speaking Spanish, but keeps pointing at me. Speaking Spanish, he keeps pointing at me. And I'm like, fuck, do I got problems with Super Crazy or something? So after they separated, I walked over to Super Crazy and I said, dude, me and you, is there a problem? And he's like, yeah, there's a problem. I was like, what? What's the matter? And he's like, they won't let me wrestle you. They just want you to do hardcore. I said me and you do something. I was like, oh. Which was way better than what I had in my mind. Yeah.
Let's see. What do you love and hate the most about the wrestling business?
The big hate that I have right now is anybody can run a company. You can buy a wrestling ring, you can run a company. And what's even worse, you can buy a wrestling ring, you can now run a school. You know? That's my biggest pet peeve. That and the replica belts, you know. I call them eBay champions.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, when I got in 25 years ago, I got my shit kicked in, man. These guys, they made you. Now I'm not saying I want guys to go out. I hate chop class. I think chop class is the dumbest fucking thing. Ian always wanted me to do chop class, and I don't think being able to take a chop determines whether you'll be a good wrestler or not. But I don't want to see people get their eyes blacked and shit like that. But it's to the point now where if you buy a flannel shirt and a pair of motorcycle boots, you can be part of the flock and go to the ring and shit like that, you know. That's the part I hate. Did I say the part that I love? I don't know.
No, not yet.
No, and the part that I love, let's see. Man, I hate it all, so I don't know.
Okay.
No, really. Let's see. The part that I love the most is when you go to shows, everybody is friends. You know, even if you got problems with somebody, when you go to shows, the one person you got a problem with, there's 10 people there with arms open. What's up, brother? And stuff like that. I mean, to me, wrestling is still a family.
What do you feel you have brought to the business that that others haven't?
Retardation.
Okay.
I brought retardation. But the big thing with me is, I don't know how to answer your question, but if you're a Pondo fan or if you're a fan of anything I've done, that's what I brought to the business. And why did I bring that to the business? Because that's the only shit I could do. This is the only thing anybody's come to me and said, you are good at this. You know, I mean, school, liars would tell me, oh, you'll make it. I was no good in school. Factory jobs, I was no good at that shit. Gas station, no good at that shit. Well, I worked at a video store. I was pretty fucking good at that. But wrestling is, I mean, I don't know what I brought, but, you know, I'm still here, so I must be bringing something.
Sure. All right, these next few questions, they come from Facebook.
Okay.
The first one is they want to let's talk about the locker match with Thumbtack Jack.
The Davy Jones locker
Yeah.
match. Well, I knew that I was only going to be in one time, so I wanted to make it brutal and special. So we did the fishing line around the ropes, put the fishing hooks and stuff like that. I still have, if you watch when Thumbtack Jack gave me the hot shot on the fishing line, a hook just scraped my hand, and I still got the scar from it. And you'll see me pull it out real quick. But at Masters of Pain, I always tried to make everything just as creative as I could, and out of all the matches, that was the one that I thought would stand out. So that's the one I wanted to do. So I talked to Thumbtack Jack about it. He was all about it, and thought that was a pretty good match.
In your career, have you enjoyed being a heel or a face?
Totally heel. The problem is, no matter where I go, there's too many heel levers, so you know, you're an instant face no matter what you do. But the cool thing about my character, whether I'm heel or face, it's the same guy. You know, I can go in there as a heel and pull out a saw bat, hit somebody with it, and get booed. Or I can be a face, pull out a saw bat, hit somebody with it, and get cheered. You know, my character is just this crazy guy, and it doesn't matter whether it's heel or face. You know, it gets different reactions, but it's always the same guy.
Okay, Nicholas Melvin, he wants to know, have you ever made a man kiss a chicken butt?
I did. Sam Cosby, me and Sarah did a segment called Coach's Corner, and there was a guy named the Coach who wanted to see Santa Claus really bad, and I made him, to see Santa Claus, I made him apologize to the fans because he was the big heel. I made him polish some girl's shoes and kiss her feet, and then just to see if he would do it, they had a live chicken over there for some reason, and I said, you know, I really think you need to kiss that chicken's ass. He did it. I didn't expect him to, but he did it. And then I said, well, you're pretty disgusting. I don't think Santa Claus wants to see you anyway. But yeah, I did make somebody kiss a chicken in the butt.
William Cinnamon, he wants to know, who do you think locally can make it big, go to Japan or WWE?
Shane Mercer. Shane Mercer has the body, he has the moves, he has the drive. One thing he would have to work on is personality and promos. I don't think, and it's not that he does a bad promo. I just don't think he's done any promos. So he needs to work on his promos and being in front of a camera. I said personality. I don't mean personality like in a locker room he's a dick or anything. I mean personality, looking at a camera and being able to cut a promo.
Who would you like to work with that you haven't yet?
A lot of people ask me that all the time, and I pretty well have wrestled everybody that I've wanted to. You know, I mean, if somebody, I mean, Nikolai Volkov was the last one, and you know, Ron Oslin said, "You really want to wrestle Nikolai Volkov?" I said, "Yes." He brought him in. I got to single wrestle Nikolai Volkov. So that was pretty much the last one. But I'm sure anybody who leaves WWE or TNA or, you know, maybe Bully Ray. I'd like to wrestle Bully Ray.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, I guess that goes along with Devon. I'd like to wrestle Devon. Maybe me and Necro versus Bully Ray and Devon, I think would be good. That's about the two that comes to mind.
What motivates you to keep going, man?
Retardation. Once this gets in you, I've got a quote, a famous quote. Nobody quits the wrestling business. I don't care how many people. This is not, and that'll bring me to another pet peeve I got here in a minute. Everybody who says that they're quitting the wrestling business never stays out, except for one wrestler, Sick Nick Pondo. He got out and stayed out. But which brings me to a point here that I wanted to share. There's guys out there that say, "I retired from the wrestling business." No, motherfucker, you did not retire, you quit. Ric Flair can retire. Please tell me you're agreeing with this, Father Fair. Ric Flair can retire. Terry Funk can retire. Independent wrestlers quit. They don't retire. I don't know why it makes them feel so important to say that they retired. I know motherfuckers that's been in there for about a year. It's like, man, I've had to retire. No, motherfucker, you had to quit. You did not retire.
So I need to change the name of my tour to the Quit Tour.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I got you.
Pondo's Quit Tour. I fucking quit.
All right, this is a question I ask everybody that I interview. What's your favorite pro wrestling moment as a fan?
As a fan, growing up, I would, a buddy of mine, Roy West Jr., he's passed away now, would take me to the wrestling matches. And I was at the Skywalkers in Chicago.
Okay.
And I remember walking in and looking, you know, you watch them on videotape now, and it's almost like jumping off the top of this house. It's not that high.
Yeah.
But I wasn't very old, and I'm looking up at these scaffolds like somebody's gonna fucking die. I remember inside how excited I was before that match started, and after it, and all that. And on the way home, all I could think about how cool that was. So I would say being able to go to the Night of the Skywalkers.
Do you have any regrets in your career?
I mean, everybody has regrets in life, and in my let me put it this way. Sure, I have regrets, but I wouldn't change a fucking thing. And what that means is I'm a small town kid from Florida, Illinois. I've made money doing the dumbest things. I've been in a horror movie. I've been on 3 video games. I've been with chicks that I have no fucking business touching in my life. And, you know, all of that is due to wrestling. So, yeah, I've got regrets, but wouldn't change a thing.
Well, Pondo, I appreciate you doing this interview with
No
me.
problem.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to anybody out there?
Check me out on Facebook. I might add you if you, anyway, it's KevinCanady, Kevin Kennedy, on the Facebook, and yeah, I'll have to add Father Fear. He's bitching at me about it.
Thanks, man.
Oh, no problem, man.